Hi, my name is Mark Steele, and in this video, you're going to take your elevator pitch to a whole new level by moving beyond the elevator pitch to something even better. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the Invincible Success channel, where we help sales teams, leaders, and speakers have more confidence, purpose, and impact. My name is Mark Steele, and if this is your first time visiting the channel, I encourage you to subscribe, and if you like what you see, hit that notification bell so that you will be notified of whenever new content comes available. All right, you are a salesperson or a leader or an entrepreneur, and you are attending a networking event. Or maybe you're going to an association event that is part of your industry. And you know that you are going to be meeting some incredible people and potentially people that could help you increase your sales, be potential customers, or at the very least, introduce you to someone that may be your ideal customer. So going into that event, more than likely, someone told you you need to have an elevator pitch. You've probably known about it, you've been practicing it, you think you've got it down, just pat, and you are ready to go. However, if you go into that networking event prepared to give your best elevator pitch, I think you are making a terrible mistake. Instead, I encourage you to ditch the pitch. And what I mean by that is think of a pitch in real life, say in baseball. It's just you chucking something at someone else and hoping they do something with it. Instead, when we go to a networking event or we're meeting a potential customer or somebody that could introduce us to a potential customer, we don't want to just throw something at them. We want to start a conversation. So I want you to think of what you say to that person, not in terms of a pitch that you're just sending their way, but instead of an opportunity to start a conversation with them. And in order to do that, we just need 5 key elements that you can do, and maybe even as little as 3, depending on how much time you have with that person. And I'll talk about the difference between a shorter conversation starter and a slightly longer conversation starter. But these key elements will make sure that not only are you setting yourself apart from everybody else who is just pitching at that person, but also encouraging them to have a conversation with you where they want to ask more or schedule a follow-up meeting with you. Now, before we even get started with what we're going to share as part of that conversation starter, it's a conversation. So take that opportunity to ask them about themselves. You be the person that tell me what it is that you do. Oh, what are some of the challenges that you're running into? Keep it casual, make it genuine, it's authentic. You want to learn about the other person, but have a conversation. Look for an opportunity to find out more about them. But inevitably, after you've asked them several questions about themselves, they will turn to you and say, well, what is it that you do? And this is your opportunity to be able to effectively share what it is that you do in a way that will get them to ask you more. The first key element in our conversation starter is to talk about who you help. Too often people will immediately start off with a long list of credentials. They'll say, hi, my name is Mark Steele, and I've been working with sales teams for 30 years. I've been speaking for 25 years, and I have helped more than 1,500. Don't talk about yourself. Talk about who it is that you help. That makes you instantly relatable. It helps the other person to be able to understand and become interested based on who it is that you help. Now that you've established who it is that you help, the next important element is to share what you do. Now, it's really important with this one that you don't, again, list off a long list of credentials. Talk about the benefits of what it is that you do or the outcome that people will get if they use your particular service or your product, whatever it is that you do. Talk about what it is in it for that particular ideal customer. Too often people will say, well, I share 27 tips in order to be able to help you optimize productivity, and I'll go through a 58-step system that I got from my corporate career. Throw that stuff away. People don't want to talk about the process of what you do, especially right in the beginning when they're first meeting you. Instead, they want to talk about the benefits that you will enable. In my own conversation starter, I like to combine the points of both who I help and what I do into one simple sentence, which is, I work with sales teams and leaders who are looking to increase sales while feeling more inspired and fulfilled. By being able to clearly state who it is that I help and what it is that I do, the person that I'm talking to immediately knows whether it applies to them or not, whether they're somebody that can be helped or gets them, again, thinking about somebody, if not them, who it is that they can introduce me to, who in their network maybe can benefit from my service. Oh, now, those are two key elements that you want to make sure that you include in every conversation starter. You'll see that I did that fairly quickly, probably took me only about 7 or 8 seconds to be able to say that. That gives me another 10, 15, 20 seconds to be able to say the rest of my conversation starter. But if I only had 10 or 15 seconds, if I knew that this was a very brief introduction, then I would immediately pivot to the last point that I'm going to make, which we'll get to in just a moment. But if I knew at a normal networking event that I'd have at least 30 seconds or 40 seconds with this particular person, after I share what it is that I do, I would include two more key elements into my conversation starter. The next one being is your why. Why is it that you do what you do? Again, go back to Simon Sinek and start with why. People resonate with why you do what you do. Why are you passionate about being able to offer the particular product or service that you do? So again, in one short, concise sentence, share why it is that you do what you do. For me, I share, after struggling for years with imposter syndrome, I am now passionate about helping sales teams and leaders overcome their challenges to reach their ultimate success. Now that you have shared your why, it's time to share why you. This is your opportunity to differentiate yourself. What is it about your product or your service offering that makes you unique and helps you stand out? Again, in one short sentence. I share my programs are based on the techniques that I used to sell over $1 billion in my corporate career. That is one sentence that immediately either intrigues somebody or at least gets them thinking about, well, that's interesting. That's not something that I'm hearing from other people. What is it? Again, don't get into the details of your program or the process behind it, but just share a few nuggets of differentiators of why you versus other people. Now that you have shared who it is that you helped, what it is that you do, why you do what you do, and why it's time for you to finish with a clear call to action. What is it that you want that person to do right now based on the conversation you just started? Do you want them to connect with you on LinkedIn? Do you want them to visit your website to get a free copy of your book? Do you want them to exchange phone numbers with you so that you can follow up with them next week, or pull out their phone right now and set up an appointment with you to meet in the next few weeks? They are much more likely to take action right then and there. So make sure that you are very clear on what it is that you want them to do. Another intriguing possibility is, since this is a conversation starter, ask them a question. For example, you can say, are you someone looking to increase your sales while feeling more fulfilled in your career? Something to that effect. Ask them a question. Get them talking to you. Think about, in your particular case, what is it that you would want somebody to do at a networking event or an association event based on having just met you and heard what it is that you do and who it is that you helped? Or think about what question you could ask them that could get them asking more, could get yourself into a dialogue. I encourage you to take the time to write down, go through each one of these steps. Again, you want to talk about who it is that you help, what it is that you do, why you do what you do, what is unique about you, and then what action do you want that person to take right then and there. If you go through each one of those elements, and again, a good conversation starter would be about 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Remember, if you only have 10 or 15 seconds, then just talk about who it is that you help, what it is that you do, and then have your clear call to action. But if you have slightly longer, then include in it why you and what is unique, or why you do what you do. After you go through the steps of the conversation starter, it's now on to using that conversation to propel you to success. Remember, next time you're going to a networking event or an association event or somewhere where you're going to be meeting what could potentially be your ideal customer, I encourage you to ditch the pitch and instead start a conversation. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it valuable, make sure that you hit the like button so that other people will find it as well. And I do encourage you to subscribe, because we do have a lot more videos coming your way that will help you reach invincible success.